Okay, the second line that we're going to talk about in our core lines, we talked about traditional or routine bathing. This is going to be for dry, itchy skin. And then our third one will be therapies on that. This is actually a very narrow line that we use, and it's probably the most confused line in the fact when we say dry, itchy, that means we're not into infection, we're not into problems. This tends to be way overused because a lot of times by the time we see the dog as a groomer or a veterinarian, they've been scratching for weeks. And once they start that scratching process, a lot of times we've inflamed the skin, we've got irritation, and now we've got secondary infection. So one of the things that I talk about, if you've got lumps, bumps, ooey, gooey smell, sores, all those are indication of infection. So this would not be the line to use. Where this line probably does the best job is on the prevention side. So if we know that we have a dog that has allergies or we have a dog that has a real sensitive skin, we're going to start using this before they have a problem. Because we've found in their studies in the human field that if we condition correctly, we can prevent or minimize a lot of our allergies. So historically, most groomers know that about October, November, their skin's going to get a little dry, their skin. Same thing's going to happen with the dogs. Guess what? Springtime, a lot of times the same thing. So if we know that every year a dog has a flare-up of allergies in March, maybe we should start in February in using a product that super hydrates on that. And that's really what the mineral red line's all about. It's about hydration. But just because they have itchy skin doesn't mean you can stop there and grab this. I see it over and over and over again where we have skin debris, we smell like yeast, we have problems, and we're using the product on that. Hydrating does not get rid of infection, so I really want to stress that. If you start in on this line and it's not solving the problem, it's probably because you've got an infection and you need to take it to the next level. So realizing this works best when we work on the prevention side. If we have a dog that has sensitive skin, this is the one we're going to want to use most frequently. If you have a dog that happened to maybe have a reaction to something, this is the one we're going to want to use. This is going to soothe and quiet because this line has things like chamomile, cadonulum, and nettle, all very soothing to the skin. And so this will quiet. And there's several different products in the line. We've got our basic shampoo and conditioner. Now the shampoo is called Complex, the conditioner is called Plus. And if you have any questions, you look at the consistency of it. Your shampoo is kind of a clear type liquid. When you start dealing with the conditioner, it's more opaque. So it's a lot thicker on that. Now with that, we also have a product called Peeling. And I always joke, sometimes when we translate things, it doesn't come out the same. And when you say peeling, understand it might be an exfoliant, but it sounds very, very harsh. When reality is this is a very, very mild type exfoliant. This works really good in a lot of the dogs that have some excess debris on the skin. A lot of times we will mix it with the purifying mask or one of the other conditioners that we're using. It just gives a little more oomph on trying to clean things out. We don't want something that's super harsh because if we have an irritated skin and we use an exfoliant and we get rough with it, then a lot of times what's going to happen is we're going to inflame the skin. And we've already talked about inflammation's our enemy. We need to make sure that we keep the inflammation out of there. And that's why this is a mild product. So don't be blown away by the word peeling. Like I say, it's just a poor translation as far as I'm concerned from the Italian language there. Now we have some other products that work very well. And unfortunately, I don't have one of them up here. One of them is called SK, which is actually designed to help grow hair. It just provides what's necessary to enhance the hair coat. Two products that I really, really like in this line is the SOS and the SL. And both of those are considered soothing products. And so a lot of times they cut that itch very, very quickly. Now they function very differently in the fact that SL is a very soothing oil. And it's something I always say is more kind of for the long term, or something that's been more chronic. Where the SOS is actually a natural anesthetic. So it's going to cut that itch very, very quickly. So where would we use something like that? This is the perfect one for a hot spot. You know, one of the problems with hot spots, they're really easy to take care of because you clean off the ooh and goo, and if they dry out, they do fine. But the problem is a lot of times they continue to itch. So when the dog starts scratching, they create more inflammation again, and a lot of times set us up for bacterial problems. So if I can stop the scratch, literally I can heal a hot spot in a couple hours. You know, when I started out doing this, I used to tell groomers, send this home with the owner and have them use it twice a day. What I found out is a lot of times you do it after you've cleaned it up and it's literally a one and done. So what I tell most groomers at this point, instead of sending it home, use it before they go home, and then tell them if they're still scratching in the morning, come back and get it. And very few of them tell me that they sell them the bottle on that. Which is nice because it's an expense the owner doesn't have to go through, and literally, like I say, one and done works very, very well. Now, I will tell you from a personal level, I live on a river in Colorado. That's where I spend a lot of my summers. I get eaten up by mosquitoes. I'm very allergic. Literally, I can put that on a mosquito bite and it goes away. I also had a situation where I went fishing down in the Florida Keys and I got eaten up by sand fleas. Right above the shoe level, I was just scratching my brains out. I come home, put a little of the SL on it, and literally one and done. So it works very well on a personal level also. If you're prone to a lot of irritation from bug bites or things like that, it works very well. We also will use these products a lot of times in our therapies because we may have some extra itch. We may have a sore that we're trying to take care of. Horses very commonly will get summer itch or sweet itch, and they'll self-traumatize. They'll literally rub the hair off their tail overnight. And we found that a lot of times we can get 12 to 24 hours with a spray on that just to cut the inflammatory process. It works very, very well. And like I say, the SL works well too. And you know, one thing about the products and any of the oils, we're not talking using a whole bunch. It's not like we take a tablespoon and pour it on there. We're literally talking drops in most cases. So it takes very, very little. One little thing that I like to talk about with the SOS spray, it comes with an applicator where you could spray it on directly. But the problem that you have with this is it hisses and it foams. And a lot of times it comes out fairly cool on that. So a lot of times we don't recommend that you put it directly on the area because it scares the animals, and the change in temperature and everything, it just kind of freaks them out. So a lot of times we'll spray it on hand or a gloved hand and put it on that way. And they tolerate it much easier. With the SL, a lot of times we have a dropper or a syringe type thing that comes with it where you can suck up a little and utilize it that way. Because the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to contaminate our bottles by sticking our fingers in there if we can avoid it. So hopefully that kind of gets you straightened out on that. When you have questions or need more detail, feel free to get a hold of us. The key point that I want to leave you with here is this is more of a preventing than waiting until you're really severely into a chronic scratching cycle that more than likely has an infection. That's going to be more of a therapy. So when in doubt, I always say start with therapy, and you can always back into the mineral red line, but that's not designed to take care of infection. It's just to take care of some of the inflammation. Thank you.